It opens with the visitors that came to visit Abraham at the Treifa banquet. He served cheese and meat together. I just thought I'd mention that. There's so much to talk about that. There's so much to talk about the promise that comes that Sarah would bear a child and her laughter that followed that with the scorn of her husband asking, "Why do you laugh?" There's so much to talk about. There's Sodom and Gomorrah. There's Abraham's willingness to pass off Sarah as his sister, that she might be taken as a concubine to King Abimelech of Gerar in order to save his life. God intervened. She didn't go. There's much to talk about there. And there's the passage that Cantor Fromson will read in a few moments, the birth of Isaac, followed by the banishing of Hagar. There's much to talk about there, and I'm not going to talk about any of it. Instead, I want to share some impressions. As some of you know, a week ago, Toby and I returned from a trip to Azerbaijan, I can now say that, and to Turkey. And I want to share some thoughts about that trip. Turkey had many beautiful areas, but I must tell you, most of the time we were walking around ruins. There were ruins of the Hittites, there were ruins of the Hellenists, there were ruins of the Romans, all built one on top of another. And you could see the layers as we walked around these ancient sites, some of it reconstructed, the library in Ephesus, a magnificent structure, but ruins. Civilizations that came and went. The Hittites came and went. The Greeks came and went. The Romans came and went. But there is a group that endured. A group that endured all through those ages. When civilizations were rising and falling, one group of people endured, people I had never heard of before our trip to Azerbaijan. And those are the mountain Jews of Azerbaijan. I didn't even know they existed. We took time to go visit with our group of 9 people. And there we found a group of people that migrated from ancient Israel to Persia in the 8th century before the Common Era, before these civilizations were rising. Well, Hittites were there, but before the civilizations were rising and falling, these Jews migrated to Persia from ancient Israel. Not only that, these Jews came from Persia and migrated to the Caucasus in the 5th century before the Common Era, before these civilizations rose and collapsed. They speak their own language. It's called Judeo-Tat. It's a combination of ancient Persian and integrated with ancient Hebrew. They believe that they are part of one of the lost tribes. Now, everybody's a part of one of the lost tribes, but it's a good narrative in any case, and they exist still today in Azerbaijan. It's a group that's steeped in Kabbalah. They have rabbis, but they also have dayanim, head rabbis over the community who are elected by a free and open and democratic elected. Their synagogues are very similar to ours. Some of their traditions vary, but their prayers are mostly those we do here. And there was one site we walked around that I found shocking. It was a cemetery, the cemetery at Nilchek, a cemetery that had the most magnificent granite tombstones I have ever seen, standing high and black with names and pictures of the people who had died in that community. And this group endured through all those generations and all those civilizations. And they're still there today. We walked around the cemetery, beautifully kept, beautifully intact, beautifully a part of that community. And I realized that as Jews, we are the same but different. We have always been the same but different. We are a family known as the children of Israel, Israel, whose name was Jacob and changed to Israel. We're part of that family. Some of us were born into that family. Others have come from the outside and brought their souls into our community as they chose to become part of the family and as they became those who are adopted by the family. We have always been a mixed multitude. We've never been a cohesive group, but we've always been the same and different. We have always been able to what's the word I'm looking for? What? Yeah, maybe. I'll take it, okay? Coexist with one another as Jews throughout these centuries. And yet, somehow there was something thrilling about walking around that community. There was a man we met, a man the guide knows, spoke Azerbaijani as well as Judeo-Tat. He talked of his life there a little bit. He was standing in front of a large building, which we assumed was an apartment building, and then found out it was his house. He had, 7 children, I think, and a multitude of grandchildren, and they all came to visit, and they all filled that house. And that community is thriving today, different yet the same. And so I would say, as I close these words, we are different. Some of us are mountain Jews. Some of us come under the Bruick of traditional Jews. Some as Hasidic Jews, some as Reform Jews, some as conservative Jews, some as new forms that are coming together almost every day. But we are the same but different. And we have endured, and we will endure, because there is a tradition that holds us together and makes us whole. And so now we look toward our Torah portion. We look to those passages I didn't talk about, passages that are rich, passages that form the family of Abraham that became Isaac, and from Isaac, Jacob, and from them the children of Israel. We turn now in our prayer books to the Torah portion, which is on some page that I don't have in front of me.